All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Sold As Is. It's been a little while, but we've been gathering some good data that I wanted to share with everybody. And it's March 2023, new market. Things are changing. And we wanted to kind of go over a couple of things that we've been seeing from buyers and sellers in the marketplace and wanted to kind of dive in and share with you some thoughts and some data. I've tasked Matt to do some homework here and dig up some good stuff. So let's kind of dive into the two questions or the two things that we're seeing. One from sellers.
Yeah, one of the most common things that we're seeing from sellers in the marketplace is, well, I want to wait for, prices to get back to where they were before I decide to make any type of movement.
Yeah.
Which is natural.
Yeah, 100%.
So what you tasked me to do, and I know you love history, is we could probably give a generic answer of like, well, do this, do that, but like let's look at the numbers and then base it off history.
The second question that we got is from buyers.
Okay.
And buyers are typically saying they want to wait for interest rate to come down. So it's kind of a double-edged sword right there. And some sellers are probably even saying that too, is they don't want to sell and then have to buy and go pay some high interest rate because they've got this 3.2% interest rate. So we're going to dive into some data and kind of hopefully be able to shed some light on what really is going on here and see if there's some value for you guys. All right, so jump in, Matt.
Yeah.
I tasked you to kind of look at a history chart. So if I had met with you and said you were waiting for home values to come back up,
okay.
We kind of looked and started in the year 2000, right?
Right. So the year 2000, our average sales price, in the LA County was about $220,000.
Okay.
Our interest rate was about
8%.
Yes.
Okay.
And then right here in 2006 is when we really saw the peak of our market. That was at about 6.4 interest rate, and our values were on average in LA was about $585,000.
Okay. So if I was a homeowner in 2000, I probably bought my house for $230,000, $230,000.
Yeah.
And then 6 years later, values doubled.
Yeah.
And now it's 2008 and the market's crashed.
Yep.
And I met with you and you were telling me I want to wait for home values to come up.
Yeah.
How long did it take for home values to get back up to that 580,000?
So it took quite a while. You would have been waiting a long time. We didn't see the markets get back to that 580 until 2017.
2017.
We were about 577,000 is when we kind of matched the peak of that 2006, 2007 market.
Interesting.
So 11 full years.
So 11 years. So, okay. And then, I think what's interesting to talk is what caused the downturn in the market from 2006 to 2008, because obviously we know that the market crashed. There was a mortgage meltdown. Everybody was getting these interest-only loans, and what else was out there? They're
giving out buy downs.
Buy downs,
Yeah.
and stated income, stated asset loans. So when you look at the peak of our market, I think what drove the market from 2000 to 2006 was this type of loan product that was out there that made everything so affordable, right?
I mean, it also seemed that the government was or the mortgage company, they were kind of giving away money,
right?
Which kind of matches a little bit to our pandemic area. I don't want to jump ahead, but what really kind of got it going and what was its downturn is it seemed like all you had to do was have a pulse to be able to get a loan.
Yeah.
And they were giving you a loan on top of our low inventory. When we looked back, we were only running on about 3,000 homes available in that market and at that time frame.
And in 2000, we probably had about 11,000. And I think the banks were looking, if you can see the growth was, 250 to 300, 300 to 375, 375 to 459, 459 to 530. There was such rapid growth that the banks were willing to give this money out because they knew that their loan to values on these loans were growing and the market was growing so fast. So there was a lot of going on, but now the mortgage meltdown hits and property values crash.
Yep. Property
went from
values
585 to what?
320,000.
Wow.
And then we went from 3,000 homes available, and we went to what you would call a healthy market to about 10,400 homes that were available in the marketplace.
Yeah. So you really saw a big shift once that program got removed. And I remember in 2008 they were also the government was giving incentives for people to buy homes, offering them a tax credit. So there was anywhere from an $8,000 to a $12,000 tax credit.
Okay.
And when we look back, we noticed that, the government was stealing buyers from the future, as I like to say, because these people weren't really ready to own homes. But man, when they saw they got this tax incentive, they were coming out of the woodwork, which helped our market to recover 2009, 2010, and so forth. And you can kind of see in your chart that the values did start to slowly grow. But interest rates had a lot to do with that as well, because you said in 2008 interest rates were 6%.
Yeah.
In 2006, interest rates were also around 6%. So inventory was kind of driving our market, and the subprime type of loans were driving, not necessarily interest rates. But I thought was interesting is when you jump up to 2017, what caused our market to really jump was the interest rates, along with low inventory.
Yeah, because if you want to look at the numbers, we're fast forwarding to 2017, we're about to hit another trajectory peak, another hot market, and our 3.9 interest rate on top of our 1,900 homes available for that full year really drove the market, hyperbolic into a straight shot, because everybody wanted to take advantage of this 3.9 interest rate.
Right.
And there were only, like you say, there were only a few apples to choose from.
Right.
So, it just really, drove our market in upward trajectory.
Yeah,
for the
I
next
agree.
few years.
It was like the perfect storm all over again and stuff like that. So then now you see 2018 property values slowly jumped up, not a lot.
Yep.
2020, 2019, obviously the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Interest rates went from 3.9 to 3.1%. Inventory went from 1,900 to 1,100.
Yeah.
So again, you can kind of see where what was driving these values to go up. So if you're I guess the moral of the story for us is, if you're a home seller right now and are thinking about being a home seller right now, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to want to wait for property values to come back to this all-time historic $826,000 price.
Yeah.
It might be 11 years from now we might see that happen, right?
I mean, we're just looking at historical data. I mean, obviously we're not a fortune teller, but I think history is always the best way to look to see where we've been, to see where we're going. We'd be, and I think that's the thing that we talk about, is we always look at numbers and we want to study the data.
Yeah, and at least be able to look at the trends.
Exactly.
Because if there's something on there numbers wise or data wise that's moving the needle in one direction or another, this data could be the lead indicator of what's to come. So I think that's why it's important for you guys to understand that, because I personally don't see with 6%, 7% interest rates right now, $826,000 all-time high values coming in the next
that's just
3 to 5 years.
And like we said, that's just the LA County average.
Yeah.
That's not maybe not super specific to our part of the valley.
Sure.
We know that, some of our better markets are over 1 million.
Yeah. And inventory is also specific to our market as well.
Yeah.
It was not all of LA County only had 1,900 homes. It was the San Fernando Valley. An interesting study that we saw too that came out was, what was it, 70% of home buyers, pandemic buyers, were not happy with the home that they bought. They didn't get the kitchen they wanted, the backyard they wanted, the master bedroom they wanted. So, this seller or potential seller who's unhappy with his property but doesn't want to sell his property right now because he wants to sell it for what he bought it for, so to speak, he might be in for a little bit of a long haul.
Yeah. They might be, and it was kind of a perfect storm of low inventory and low interest rates. Yeah. Which we were kind of talking about a little earlier was, if you're a seller and you want to be able to sell at that's kind of the perfect storm of what you'd be looking for. Yeah. And maybe even on the other end as a buyer, I know that we were talking about on the buy side, buyers were like, well, I want interest rates to come down. Yeah. Historically, I haven't seen any time to where it was good for a buyer to be able to go out and take advantage of a low interest rate, but inventory was high. Yeah. It hasn't happened.
Well, there was 1 year, and it was 2008.
It was 2008.
It was a crash. And interest rates were at 8, now they're at 6. Inventory was at 3,000, it went to 10,000.
Yeah.
So there was one blip in our market history in the last 30 years where we could see that happen.
But there was so much going on with that recession that you were probably swimming upstream if you thought you were going to buy a home at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think that's why it's important to realize to track the data, because right now in what were we in February of 2023, what was it, like 1,300 homes on the market right now? So we still have a shortage of inventory, and we're tracking that because if that inventory grows, that could be an indicator of a shifting market as well too, right? All right, well, let's talk about you're a buyer.
Okay.
So you're a buyer, and we get this all the time, interest rates. They're 7%, Tom. How can I afford to buy? I want to wait for interest rates to come back down.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is we ask our buyers, we want to ask you to also just consider these two options. One is if you can, in this market, and can you afford the payment?
Right.
And then two is if for whatever reason you were able to lose your job, would you be able to make the payment until you secured another job?
Correct. And if you answer yes?
If the answer is yes, I would say it's a good time to get in the market because realistically what's going on in the marketplace is sellers, they want to hear from qualified buyers in the market.
Absolutely.
And what's funny is we were talking previously before this, and it was almost as if like we pulled out like an old blueprint that I didn't know about because of the market shift. All I know is an upward ascending market. And he's just like, no, look, this is how you negotiate, getting repair requests met.
Yeah.
This is how you negotiate price reduction.
Yeah. This
is how you negotiate seller credits. And I have only been maybe part of one or two transactions where that was actually even on the the recipe or the menu.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, this is just how we did it back then.
Yeah.
So if you're a buyer, sellers want to hear from you.
Absolutely. I mean, the days of using the 4 Ps of real estate were out the window since probably 2010, and now that playbook is back in play right now. And there were a lot of real estate agents that never knew that, and they put a sign out in front of the property, they popped it in the MLS, and they just waited for a buyer to show around.
They prayed,
and they prayed a buyer was coming around, and now those days are over. So definitely, we're definitely back into an old school market using different data. But what has to happen for interest rates to come down, I guess, is the big question, because
I think realistically we're really looking at some type of economic downturn.
Okay.
Recession. And we're gonna need unemployment, to rise, because that's gonna stabilize, or that's gonna show, that our economy is weakening.
Yeah.
And in order for our government to be able to start to stimulate our economy again is through what?
Yeah, lowering interest rates.
And
having
getting
people
us
get
to buy
home ownership. I mean, one of the things that I've always said was, real estate fuels our economy. Mm-hmm. When people buy homes, they go out to Home Depot, they go out to the department stores, they buy furniture, they spend money, they do improvements, they hire contractors. All that stuff happens, and it trickles down and employs everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're purposely doing right now by raising interest rates, is they're trying to stop everybody from going out and buying, to slow that industry down, so inflation will come back down.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree that when they raise their hand and say, oh, it worked, we're now in a recession, they're going to look to lower interest rates. And I want to point out 2014, because I remember 2014 and interest rates in 2013, they were that 3.6, 3.9%. Mm-hmm. And then in 2014, interest rates jumped up to 4.75.
Right.
And I remember running around asking all my lender guys and everybody, what's going on? What happened that caused the rates to jump so high? And I remember they were like, hey, our president he's thinking down the road. And if he needs to stimulate the economy, he needs to have some room to lower rates back down. So while things are good, he's going to bump them up so we can absorb that. But when they slow down, at 3, there was nowhere else to go. So, and funny that we got to 4.75, it slowed everything down. And where did rates go in 2015?
3.8.
3.8. And then 2016, 3.6.
Yeah.
And then 2017, 3.9. You know, so you could kind of see that's what they do here. So if you're a buyer and you're sitting on the fence waiting for a home for interest rates to drop, I would tell you, you know,
I think you're missing a big opportunity in the marketplace.
Yeah. Because there were a lot of buyers that were on the fence saying, well, I don't want to buy because I don't want to have to compete.
Yeah.
Right. I'm tired of losing out on this and writing 80,000 over the asking price and no appraisal contingency, no loan contingency.
Yeah, it was tough.
I've got to give my future firstborn, you know, everything that was out there, and none of that stuff's here. And now they're on the fence because of interest rates. Like, pick one. You know, buyers, sellers want to hear from you. Like you said before, sellers want to know you're a qualified buyer. What do you want to pay for my home?
I also think that there's another part of buying right now in the market that maybe not everyone's talking about, or maybe we haven't educated people on a little bit, and that's the upside potential, or how did we word it earlier?
Upside.
The upside potential of a home. So it's, you know, you're buying a home, but you maybe it's not, you know, don't buy the best home on the block.
Yeah.
Get it at a condition to where it still needs a little bit of work, because even though, you know, the neighborhood you want to get to is here, you bought the home here.
Yeah.
And as the market is shifting, you're really not losing or gaining much because you bought it, you know, under the certain value of the neighborhood you want to get into.
I think right now how you buy a home 2023 in this type of market is to buy a home that has some upside potential, meaning you can add an ADU, it needs some TLC. There's something that you can do to the house to make it improve in value.
Exactly.
Because if you buy the house that's completely spec, that somebody bought it and flipped it, and you just pay top dollar for it, there's nowhere for that house to really be improved and go from it. And if it softens, you're taking the immediate hit. But if you can buy a home that has some upside potential in it and the market softens, well, that's okay, because you're going to be able to weather that storm. You're going to be able to add an ADU that's going to add value, that's going to help you recoup some of that loss that you didn't get.
Yeah.
So I would definitely think there's some great opportunities out there in this market, and investors are doing it.
Yeah.
They're coming out of the woodwork and they're gobbling stuff out there that's got upside potential right now, because they know while all these other people are sitting on the fence scared, they're going to gobble up these deals and start building wealth in real estate. Yeah. There's also the tax shelter. You know, if you're renting right now and you're paying $3,000 a month in rent, you're paying 100% interest every month to the landlord. And you know, you yourself, if you can afford a $3,000 a month rent payment, you're probably making some good money, and you need a tax shelter. You need to be able to write off that interest and that taxes so that you can get some of that money back from Uncle Sam and not giving it away.
I know we went over that a lot more in depth.
In another video.
We can go.
We'll put a
link down below to go over that if you guys are interested in, you know, going a little bit, taking a deeper dive to the, you know, the full tax advantages of it.
Yeah.
But there's some definitely tax advantages to that, even with the higher interest rate. We've gone over that for sure.
And you know, there's also, you know, this report that I saw, and I know I'm going to hack it, but the gist of it was renters die with a net worth of about $12,500.
I've seen that,
and homeowners die with a net worth of about $250,000.
Right.
So, you know, one of our mission and belief is that we believe that everybody deserves the right of home ownership, and our job is to really kind of help that so that they can pass on some legacy to their future generations. You guys out there, right? Absolutely. So, I mean, not to put a bummer on everything that's out here now, end everything in a sad note, but I think you guys, the moral of the story is, if you can afford the mortgage payment and you can afford to make the mortgage payment, if you were to lose your job until you found a new one, you need to be out looking at inventory right now, because sellers want to hear from you. If you're a seller and you're thinking about waiting for property values to return, buckle down, hang out for a while, maybe do some improvements on that house, fix up the master bedroom that you don't like.
You're right.
Do those things that you want to do, because these values may not be coming back for a little while.
I think, I think you nailed it on the head.
Listen, there's a link down below that's to our website. I'd love for you guys to sign up, register, do a search on there. We'll go in on the back end on that and we'll tidy it up and make it really specific to what your home needs are. We would really love the opportunity to earn your business in real estate. And we're just a link away, right?
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up.
I think that's it.
All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode and have a great day. Bye.